This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go to line number 2 in Conway. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to talk about our 2J cod fishery that we got excluded out of, I guess.
Sure.
We own a federal contract for 2J fish. We're allowed up there at turbot.
Mm-hmm.
But when they opened up the commercial fishery, and they excluded us. And, you know, we've been fighting trying to get back into it. But what really got me out of it is that, I mean, I put in a proposal or a petition to the Inshore Council. I'm voted in member here for the fishermen in my area. And it was unanimous vote to let 4R back into 2J at the codfish.
Yeah, and Conway, I should, just for people listening, 2J is kind of like it's southeast Labrador to the northern part, I guess, of the 2J 3KL, so the northern part of Newfoundland as well, northeastern, and then up towards the southeast of Labrador, correct? So say from Hopedale to right down to Cape Friels, almost, just for people who aren't completely, aware of the terminology and the fishery zone of 2J, just to let people know.
Yes. No, I mean, we got historical rights there. I mean, our fathers and grandfathers and everybody fished up there, before the collapse of the fishery. And I don't know why the union, I guess it started with Cash, and he called us a nomadic fleet. I mean, that's in print. I mean, that Cash said that, and he would try to drive us out of it. But, I mean, when you got the Inshore Council that votes unanimously, and except for the 2J fishermen that were there that didn't want us up there, I mean, the president's got no right to go against it. I mean, the fishermen, they were the council. And as far as I can figure it out, and what I've been told, is that the president is going against it. And we got no fishery here. We got no cod. They've been closed down for years. But there's also scientific data that's been done 20-odd years ago when they put beacons in fish and beacons up in, on the other side of Bell Island. And there's beacons down going where the codfish goes down in 3PS. They know that we're in a brook. The Gulf is a brook. And there's a big pond on either side, and he knows the fish is going back and forth. And for us to be drove out, and all the other countries in the world over here fishing, with us with nothing, we got a handful of lobsters to catch, and a handful of halibut, which, it was wrongfully stole from us too, the halibut fishery, and give away by Gail Shay and everything else, and whatever backdoor deals was done, we'll never find out. But the thing is we need our rights back to 2J cod. It's our historical fishery too. And they had a meeting with the dragger fleet here, and I know it's because he called me when he got off the meeting, the conference call, and fixed gear was not included into it. And then the regional director for the DFO asked him if he was speaking for all 4R. And he said, well, I'm speaking for, the mobile fleet. He said, but, the fixed gear, they all got licenses too. He said, and you can't exclude them. But the biggest problem I got is, how come someone like myself, who's a voted-in representative for the fishermen here, who's been very active trying to get our people back up in 2J, why wasn't I notified? And I was talking to the union the other day, too, over it. And
would they notify you individually, or should they be, communicating the position more clearly? You said you believe the president is against it. Is that a fact?
That is a fact. That is a fact. She would not sign off any papers. Now, I do believe that she signed off one for the mobile fleet. But once again, I mean, this was voted on by the Inshore Council in St. John, and we were supposed to get our rights back. And as far as I know, all this went up to Ottawa, and we wouldn't put it back into it.
Well, Conway, I would invite, like, I know when we call out or, say something definitive about the president of the FFAW, Dwan Street, she's more than welcome to clarify the issue. When you raise her name like that, it's just fair that we get that side of it. It just strikes me that there are a lot of people clamoring for a share of that cod, whether it's the Labrador Fishermen's Union Shrimp Company, who we know has been asking for a share of it, even though historically they haven't, and those who have a share don't want to really open it up to others because it's so limited right now.
But I mean, they got a full-on commercial cod fishery open, and we have historical rights of being there. I mean, we got just as much historical rights of being there as anybody. I mean, and to go allow all the other countries back in and take one section of Newfoundland and Labrador and drive us out of it when we got nothing to catch here, even closed down our commercial cod fishery. So we got our fish swimming up there and somebody else catching it, and we're here with nothing. We got a handful of cod and a handful of halibut. The herring they destroyed, I was active. I told them they had to cut the quota. I told them no. When they destroyed it, then we turned around with all their wisdom and lowered the measure to the size of the herring they could catch. Now, this is what we got managing 4 hours, trying to starve us out and get us all out of it. Then, I mean, I can go on about what was done here. I've been active in this fishery for over 25 years. And I'm going to tell you, when somebody looks around and tells us that we don't deserve to feed our families and pay for our boats, I'm getting upset with it.
I understand that, but and I will say this: historic rights to it be damned. We had historic rights in '92, and look what happened. I would just say that a lot has to do with quotas, Conway. I mean, yes, you can have an historical attachment, and we've always been able to fish this, that, or the other thing. But changes are made on the fly with the science, and we heard the fisheries minister here on Friday. I can't speak to the specifics of what you were told or what the FFAW or the Inshore Council decided, but I would look forward to their phone call in a heartbeat just so we could clarify, because obviously, this just goes on and on forever and a day. They say they're listening, and you say they're not, and that's the way it's always been.
Well, the only thing is that I got to say is if we got historical rights, then we got historical rights. The same thing as Spain is going to say they got historical rights, or whoever. You can't exclude one bunch and bring everybody else back in. I mean...
What does that mean, exclude one and then let everybody back in? Again, right, we say some pretty broad, sweeping comments that sometimes,
You tell me who else is drove out of the northern cod fishery besides 4R?
Well, in 4R alone, it changes like the wind.
In 4R alone, 4R should not be took and drove out like we're some disease. We're not.
Are you talking about the shrimp in 4R or the cod? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I say we're a bunch of men with historical rights to be there too. We have our federal contracts. We're allowed up there at the groundfish. Codfish is groundfish. We're allowed up there at the turbot. But all of a sudden, you're going to drive us at the cod fishery when you got a full-on commercial cod fishery open up there.
Do you see?
We have nothing.
And Conway, listen, I mean, we've spoken lots of times over the years. Do you see? And I'm going to ask this of everybody when they come on and are upset about a decision. Do you see any sense in it? No, you know more about this because you're on water. You have the license. You know what you're talking. That's fine. But are you, conveniently leaving out some of the facts that maybe have been given to you that would explain why some people are excluded and others are not, whether it's the science or whether it's adjacency or any other?
Well, I've been told that 2J got a license to fish here. Well, why let them come? We ain't got nothing for them to catch anyway. So, I mean, let them come on down. I mean, we never signed no papers driving 2J out. Show me, get that FFAW and DFO to show me the papers where the fishermen in 4R signed off their rights to go to 2J or signed papers to say 2J is not allowed here.
Yeah, better still, let's get him on the program to put some clarification or some context to this. I mean, your position is easily understood. I understand the frustration. It goes on and on. But whether or not the FFAW can shed some light on this is usually the way we need to go. And I'm sure they're listening. And I know Dwan's great. I welcome her on the program to just clarify what the reasons are, what the reasons you've been given. You've told me that that's been the decision and that's all you've heard, but nothing else to explain it.
No, nothing else to explain it. Well, I do have something because, well, you know, is I going to say it or what? Because I was told by someone that's not working there in the union no more. He's gone. He told me that we was going to have to take the FFAW back to court, saying that we done with the scallops to get our rights back to the 2J card. Now, that's what he said to me. I can say his name if he wants me to, or I can keep it to myself.
Anecdotal stuff like that will just, you know, the comment stands on its own. That's good for now. You know, if it's the tangle, you're going to get back into the courts. It's just, again, it's just a vicious circle that we go through, fighting with ourselves over our own fish. And I get it.
I got nothing against Don Street or the union. I've worked with the other union.
Yep.
I'm in there with this one. I'm trying to work with them too. But the thing is when you take one group of men, or fisher people, I should say, and excludes them from their historical rights and brings everybody else back in and lets them go fishing, and then there was 4 million pounds of codfish left in the water in 2J, which the people here in 4R could have greatly used. I mean, like I said,
I look forward to the rationale. Conway, I got to get off the break, but I look forward to the rationale. As you said, if it's that clear cut, there's that much fish. They're going to let everybody in, and they're going to take it away from us. If it's that clear cut, I look forward to a response, either, as you said, from DFO or Dwan Street with the FAW or anyone with the union who can clarify that for us. I got to get off, Conway, to the break, so I appreciate the call. It's an ongoing issue, and it will be forever and a day. But as long as the numbers are still sketchy in various areas of the province and around the coastline, we know Ottawa has control. We did that in 49, so there you go.
It's time to get clear account, I too.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll put the call out, and hopefully we can get some response.
Yes.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to, without further ado, line number 3. Jerry, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Excellent. That's a good thing these days.
Yes. I grew up in the Goulds my whole life. I was born there, grew up there. My family are there. My brothers and sisters are there. Love the Goulds. Been there so long. We have not been able to get development in the Goulds for so long. 35 years ago, we were taken over by the City of St. John's. Now, the City of St. John's will tell you they didn't want us. We were given to them by the province, and I assume they probably took us because they would be able to stunt growth there for the next 35 years, which is what they managed to do.
Do you think that was the intent?
Yeah, 100%. I think, look, if I were to use a description, I would describe us as being a third world country in the Goulds. That's how we've been treated by the City of St. John's. I could use another description, and it's a bit vulgar, but I have to use it, and I won't say it. I'll spell it. We are a SHITHOLE. That's how we've been treated by the City of St. John's for 35 years. I can't believe it's 35 years, but it is. It's 35 years. In 2022, we were told there was $30 million available. Can you imagine? There was $30 million supposedly spent to take things from the other end of Shoal Bay Road, flush it straight out Shoal Bay Road, right out through the Goulds, right out to Kilbride, and as it was coming down over the hill in St. John's, the mayor and councillors could wave at us. That's how amazing this system was going to be. $30 million. They spent $30 million. They cannot tell us what the system can do. They cannot tell us what the capabilities are. It's taken them 4 years and they still can't tell us what the capabilities are and what can be done. It is pathetic. We have thousands of acres. We have an amazing place in there. There's no family member can basically get a house to live in the Goulds because nothing can be developed. What can be developed is maybe 1/50th of what's there. And what they're telling us is their plan is looking like their plan may be when they get this all resolved, and we don't know how long that's going to be. It's been 4 years now. But when it does get evolved, they're going to tell us that we may be able to, if you own 100 feet of land along the highway, you may be able to get a lot approved. So if you have 10 acres of land and it's 100 feet on the road, you have one building lot. If you live in the city of St. John's and you own an acre of land, you're a millionaire. If you're in the Goulds, you're not sure if you can get a building lot out of it. We have been treated like a third world country.
You know, Jerry, I was just going to say, so every councillor, and I've covered city council for 30 years, almost on and off, every Goulds councillor has gone to bat for that region, for that area of the city. And, you know, the disconnect has always been the rural nature of it. Right? As you said, you know, incorporated that many years ago. But the rural nature and the cost and the commitment that went into trying to extend all the water and services, yes, absolutely, you're right. It's been delayed over and over. It's taken longer for it to be, say, put in place than it would, say, in the middle of town. All of the issues that you named are legitimate issues. My only concern, man, I got to be honest, when I hear people, you know, we have people coming to this country from real third world countries. So whenever I hear it, and I get it, I get the frustration, I do, but I think we throw around that term a little bit too easily when we look at real third world. A third world country doesn't have a hospital. It might take you hours to wait. It doesn't have a hospital like the health science is a half hour away or 20 minutes away. It doesn't have restaurants a couple of hours away or down the road. When it comes to infrastructure, I get it. The sewage, the issue is real. The water and sewer issues out there are real. So there's been some great dust-ups at City Council, whether it was the current councillor now, Donnie Earl, who's going to bat, whether it's Wally Collins in the past, whether it's, if I could think of them all off the top of my head, I just can't bring up the names. But the councillors have gone to bat for it. And, I mean, unless he's standing up and shouting it from the rooftops right now, Donnie Earl, is he doing the work for you? How have you felt his performance since he's been elected?
When you have people there that are telling you for the last 35 years that, look, you guys were given to us. We didn't want you. You are only a cost to us. And we don't want to develop you. And when you get staff that listen to that, and by the way... Who
has said that, by the way, just out of curiosity?
There's one group of people that run the place, and that's the staff. And the staff have had that attitude for so long. And like I said, to spend $30 million 4 years ago and say they don't know what the capabilities are. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? That's what we're dealing with.
When you say the capabilities, what do you mean by the capabilities?
What do you mean by...
when you say they say that, you know, we're limited by our capabilities after spending $30 million, what does it mean to say we're limited by the capabilities? Like, what's your understanding of that?
4 years ago, they had this town in control for 31 years. When they got all of this funding, which obviously took a period of time, you would think they would have, in their right mind, before they put it in place, they would have said, here's what we're going to be able to do. Now they're telling us 4 years later, they still don't know. They're still saying, we're taking a look at this. I think there's a lot of coffee been drank to taking a look at what can be done. And whether there's actually anything been done, obviously, is a question mark. But we're 4 years later, and they cannot tell us what the full capabilities of that system are, and what it means to the Goulds, and what part of the Goulds can be developed.
What kind of communication have you had with the current councillor on all this?
In the current councillor?
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to the current councillor. I've had people speak to him, but listen, when you're one councillor out of 10, and if you go to the city of St. John's, the people that run the city of St. John's are the staff. They're the ones there that are putting these plans out, and that's unfortunately to say that, but I mean, as a councillor, I mean, or as an individual, you can't pick up the phone and phone a staff person and chat to them.
Yeah, you can call the 311 number, and then you could get lost on a rabbit hole. It's a good service, but when you're looking for a specific answer to a council question, that's probably not going to come from 311. But look, Jerry, I hear you loud and clear. I know the issues out in Goulds has always felt like the poor second cousin that doesn't get any respect from the city because of the rural nature. It's removed from the city. Look, I invite you to keep it going, and other residents of the Goulds as well. I'm just a little past the news. But a point loud and clear. I mean, it's not a disputable one. You're absolutely right about the difficulties Goulds have had over the years.
If you look at Maddox Cove, Petty Harbour, Bay Bulls, Witless, these places have done wonderful on their own. And like I said, we haven't had an opportunity to have any decision on our own. Brian, thank you so very much for your time. Appreciate it.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 5. And caller, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about health system now.
Sure. I don't know if it's your line or ours, but if you're able to speak up a little better or close in on the phone a bit, maybe. I'm just having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Yeah, that's the telephone service here. Can you hear me now?
Oh, you're deadly now. Go for it.
Oh, yeah, because I've called him before about our health system. I had an appointment for Thursday in the health science. I got pre-registration for surgery, and I had the surgery appointment for Friday the 5th, and waiting in the waiting room so long for 3 and 4 and 5 hours. They only came back and said it was cancelled. Now, after me having to drive 320 kilometres in and 320 kilometres back for a round trip, and they cancelled the appointment.
Okay, that's the worst case scenario. First of all, why was the appointment cancelled?
Well, the only thing they said to me was that due to lack of space for putting people in a recovery.
So beds
and staff.
Yeah. And what was the procedure again? Sorry, caller, I didn't get it right off the top.
It was they put a stent in me on March 18th for kidney stones.
Right.
So you know all about the girl that had a problem with kidney stones. She's still in the health science right now. And
absolutely.
And well, this is almost the same situation that I could be in the last 4 or 5 months.
How was the communication when so you're there you arrive, and where did you drive in from again?
Marystown.
So Marystown, God, the ride up the boot. Okay, and so that's a good 3 hours, 3.5. And so you're
3.5 hours.
And then you were waiting. So no sign or anything. You get in there, you're waiting, you check in.
Well, for the first day, I actually had to leave a day before because it was pre-admission. That was 1 day gone there. That took 4 hours pre-admission.
Right. Okay, keep going. So you drive in for the pre-admission.
And then I had to attend my appointment for 10 o'clock Friday morning, the 5th. Sitting there from 10 o'clock till right. I went up and asked and said, "What's the delay?" She said, "We're falling behind. So 11 o'clock done the same thing. 12 o'clock done the same thing." And there was another gentleman there at age 82, and I'm 72, and they wouldn't give us no different answer. So around 1 o'clock they came out, and they said no, it's all cancelled.
All cancelled. So you and others as well.
Well, the two of us are sitting there talking back and forth.
Yeah.
We had the same problems. And initially, just as I was waiting to get online to talk to you,
right?
The health science card. Now he wants me back in again at 11. Now I got to travel all back over that peninsula again into St. John's and wait and get a place to stay. And now, well, I got to go.
Did you say 11 for 11 a.m.?
No, for
the 11th. For the 11th. Okay, I thought you said 11 a.m. I was going to say, yeah.
Well, it's still a bit of a rush, and it gets so stressful there, man.
Absolutely, and no guarantees again. So last week you came in on a Thursday, right, and stayed Thursday night.
Wednesday night. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Also 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
All that for that appointment, only to have it cancelled and sent. Sorry, we ran out of time. And you'll have to come back and go home. Well, I tell you, that's the worst part of the system. Not only do you have to deal with the anxiety of the process and the severity of it, the seriousness of it, and your actual health, and then the gut punch that brings with you, because you don't get any resolution to it. You have to go back and the drive and everything, and then have the weekend to think about it and worry about it, and the uncertainty of not knowing when the next appointment is. It's not good. It's really, really not good.
No, and then there's no guarantee.
And there's no guarantee. So you could get ready and do the whole schmozzle again this week. Do you have to do all the pre-admission and all of that sort of thing again?
No. Thank God I don't have to do that.
But still, have they given you any more of a guarantee, keeping in mind of what you went through last week?
No, but no.
Well, I don't know what else to say about it. We know what the system is going through and the pressures of it, and we keep being told that core care has bogged things down, but that things will get better. It doesn't sound like they're getting better yet. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. You're going to do the thing again on, what is it, on the 11th, which is Thursday.
I'll leave again Wednesday.
And come in and spend a night. Where do you have to? Where are you staying when you do come in?
Oh, thank God I got a sister in there.
Okay, good. There is that.
But then you don't want to be interfering with her. But like I say, it's okay. But I want to give out a thanks to Mr. Eddie Joyce. He called me Thursday, and he's going to give me a call back. I appreciate that, Mr. Joyce. I had a few questions there for him to ask, but he was a good gentleman that he did call me back. One out of about 20 that I called in the house.
Yeah, and we talked about it last week. Just respond, boys. I mean, you send out an email you're in or any kind of message just to be, even if you can't fix it overnight for the person, at least respond, at least communicate, at least let them know you got the message, that you know about it, you're working on it, anything. Nothing worse than silence and no response at all. So good on Eddie. He had certainly... Exactly. Yeah, and we all know there's a reason why he's had such success as an elected MHA, because he looks after his constituents. He's as good as it gets when it comes to that. So there's no denying it, and it speaks for itself. Look, I'm only because of the time on the clock. I look forward to some kind of update for you later in the week. Let's follow this and see how it goes.
I'll make sure I'll give you an update, man.
Yeah, and give me a shout from the waiting room, even if you can. If you need to pass the time, we'll be all over that.
Yeah. Well, get ready as well. Get prepared.
Again, I wish you nothing but the best, and I really hope it goes better this time around.
Okay, thank you.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 3, and the interim president of the NL Folk Arts Society, Gene Hewson, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It was a late night, but a great night.
Yes, it was indeed, and I want to thank you on behalf of the board as well for being a fantastic host last night. You certainly helped set the tone for the evening. It was wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't remember a thing. It was all a blur. I hope it all came out right and I didn't offend anyone.
Not yet. There's still time.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I could do it any moment here on this show, but you got to walk that line very carefully. What a great night. What a great crowd. What a lineup. What was your highlight of the night? Can you point to just one?
I can't really. I mean, there were so many, but I got to say that when Dave and Pamela and Kelly all said they were going to play a tune and wanted to see people on the dance floor, and then people got up and danced, including myself and my husband, it just felt so lovely, and all the performances were great. I loved every single one of them. They were just fantastic people and generous and committed people to this community. They're I don't know. I felt like I wanted to screech and bawl last night. Somehow I managed to hold it together. I
think I could see it in you. I was like, okay, we're almost there. No. But look, you couldn't wipe the smile off anyone's face there last night, how successful it was. And to see, as I called it, like the resuscitation, and the people like yourself, and all the people behind you with the Folk Arts Society that really kept this on life support. While we figured it out, and breathed some life back into it. And that's what it felt like last night. So, Gene, just going forward, just explain to people how it will work. So a lot of people are asking, so there will be a festival this year or there won't, and their 50th will be next year, because the 50th would have been this year. But we're just going to have kind of a scaled-down sort of precursor in August, or how do you plan to go forward?
Well, what we're aiming to do is to have a one-day folk festival on Saturday, August 8th, which is the Saturday after the regatta. And traditionally, that is when we used to have the folk festival. Then it was moved to the third weekend in July. But that was a little too close for comfort. We knew we wouldn't be able to make it work, so we went back to the old weekend to buy us more time. Right. We're still working on things like getting funding in place. I think that being able to pay the debts is a huge marker in the organization's credibility. When you've applied for funding and they're looking at your financial viability as an organization, and they hear that the community came behind you and you're now $45K, you've raised $45K towards paying off a $50K debt. I mean, I think that will help a lot. We're very optimistic that we'll be able to do something on a very small scale. And depending on what happens, the scale is still yet to be determined. So that'll be August 8th. So, pencil in the date, and then hopefully we'll be able to put it in ink in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, that'll be great. All of the traditions coming back, including, as you said, the weekend after the regatta. Yes. And so, this would be a one-day thing this year. So it wouldn't be actually the 50th festival, would it? That's what we're shooting to do on a larger scale next year.
Yes, we're thinking of calling it something different. And because the 50th is such a celebration, and also an opportunity for us to perhaps bring in more funding and sponsors because of the visibility of that date, of that milestone, and because we also really want to have the time and resources to make it a celebration for the community and give the folk festival the celebration it deserves, I think we want to defer that particular milestone to next year. And I know lots of our community are saying, well, this will be our 50th one way or the other. And there's no doubt in our hearts that we know this is a milestone, just the sheer fact that we're moving towards or moving kind of out of that dark period and back into being reestablished and reset. So But anyway, we'll have a really good celebration next year, and we'll do what we can this year.
Yeah, and what does, just a last question for you, what does reset and reimagine mean? Like, what do you picture it being like, and how different than it what it became in the past few years?
Well,
are we at that conversation yet, or?
Yeah, we haven't really, and I think that's a much larger conversation for the membership and for the community. Do we need to have great big acts from away that take up a lot of money and a lot of resources? Is the venue big enough? Should we be focusing mostly on developing our local folk acts? That's not to say that we are going to exclude acts from, say, Canada and the rest of the country, and from other countries as well, who happen to be here. But I think that the majority of our resources, are we going to focus them on our own folk music here? And I think that's a conversation that has to be had. Are we going to have the same size folk festival that we've had for years? Things are more expensive. Can we afford it? Is the funding available? All of those things, we're going to have to look at things realistically and adapt. And this is not something that's new. I think other organizations are doing it. And there's an ebb and flow, as you know. Sometimes, things are very uncertain. The economy is uncertain. There's all kinds of things going on in the world right now, and everybody's got a firm grip on their wallets. So I think that you kind of retract when you need to, and then you can expand when you need to as well. So I think you just kind of have to read the room in any given year and see what's feasible.
Well, they certainly opened the wallets last night, and for when the risk and the threat of this, you could tell, right? It just kind of shocked people. Nobody really saw it coming. It was like, oh, this doesn't just continue on. And that was when people had started understanding the real work that goes on behind the folk festival to get it done, and all of the challenges they've had over the years. So maybe it was a good wake-up call by the same token. Now that we can say that it looks like we've managed to dig ourselves out and start anew, reset.
That's it. That's absolutely it, Brian.
That's fantastic. Jean, look, thanks for all your hard work at this. We look forward to updates on everything else. But right now, we'll say for August the 8th, pencil that one in, hey?
Okay, we'll see you in the park, Brian.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Rain or shine, I'll be there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 6. And Connie, you're on the air.
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
I'm okay for a Monday.
Oh, it's always the hardest day of the week, I find.
Yeah, especially when your weekend is just as busy as your weekdays, but there you go.
True.
Yeah.
That is true. Yes, you had a busy one by the sounds of it.
Yeah, all good. Labor of love.
Yeah, that's true. Brian, I wanted to report on May's numbers, and you had mentioned the word dismal earlier in the show there, and sure enough, they are dismal. But I can tell you that June is looking far worse than May month. In any event, 332 cases in May month, 332 in our 10 courtrooms, 54 people charged with those offenses. And I would like to talk a little bit about the numbers. What we're planning on doing is posting these numbers on the website. That's in development now, and we're going to be putting the monthly numbers there. And I'd like to give a shout out to my youngest son, Ben Snow, who helped with the initial spreadsheet. He's a business major, and he volunteered to do that. I really appreciated his efforts. He did a great job. I also want to give a shout out to Bev Moore-Davis, our director. Bev is currently, I wouldn't say celebrating, but we're certainly acknowledging Bev's efforts in the past 15 years since she started her advocacy work, and she's done a phenomenal job. I keep saying that I can't think of one other person in the province who's made such a difference on her own. Bev is a tireless worker when it comes to educating people, bringing awareness to the issue of child abuse, and of course, having been a survivor herself of physical and sexual abuse. I'm writing a book about it. Bev is the quintessential survivor, and not everyone can lobby or advocate or put themselves out there after such a traumatic upbringing. But Bev did it, and she continues to do that, and she's doing stellar work. So shout out to both Ben and Bev.
Absolutely. Connie, the Miles for Smiles foundation is it speaks for itself how important it is, and to keep this conversation in the fore about the problem that we have, the scourge of this kind of abuse and the cases that are before the courts. Would this list that you're talking about, will that be posted regularly to the Miles for Smiles Foundation, or just a separate website?
No, to the Miles for Smiles site. Yeah, it'll be milesforsmilesfoundation.com. And we have a lot of information there, resources and things that we're involved in, and the kinds of things we're trying to do in the mission of the foundation. So I would encourage people to go to the Miles for Smiles Foundation website, and of course we're hoping to have the numbers posted there very, very soon. Up-to-date numbers, yep.
Yeah, and when you say up-to-date numbers, these are the numbers that you're seeing on the docket. But do you ever estimate what the actual, when we talk about the people who don't come forward, when the people who choose not to, or for whatever reason, or just the cases that haven't really made their way onto the docket yet, and the things that are happening where charges haven't even been laid, have you ever gotten your head around the actual extent of what's going on out there? It is, boy, I'll tell you, we talk about epidemics. It's hard not to discuss this as one such.
Well, you're absolutely right. I was going to talk about the fact that the province has declared gender-based violence an intimate partner violence and epidemic. I'll touch on that in a moment. But, Brian, you're absolutely right. And, of course, what we've been doing, and I've said it often on the show with yourself and with Patty, we always use the caveat that only about 10% of crimes against people get reported. So we're just skimming the surface here. It's like an iceberg. You're just seeing the tip of the problem. And even less than that, out of the 10% of cases that get reported, far less go to court, far less are prosecutable, far less have evidence enough to convict someone criminally. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen, if you know what I mean.
I do. And God forbid the Jordan conversation enters into this, you know?
Yes, exactly. That's another exacerbator of numerous problems.
Yeah.
But when we report these numbers, we are reporting a very small picture of what's actually happening. That's my belief, and I base that on reading and research that I've done and numbers across the country, and we're seeing a big increase in online crimes, which is why we really like to encourage parents, and we do this often as well, to please monitor your social media and the technology that your children are using. A lot happens behind closed doors, and we know that children are, spending a long time per day on social media. We already know that if you spend more than 3 hours, you're probably going to have some mental health issues to deal with later, on a scale. And most kids these days are spending 6 to 8 hours, and that's often in their bedrooms with the doors closed, and the parents don't know the sites that they're on or the platforms, and that's been a real problem. The lack of monitoring of what's going on with our children.
I can't imagine, because we didn't grow up with this. So I always wonder to what extent I'd be able to pull away, or you'd be able to pull away, or kids. But if we try to put ourselves in our kids' shoes these days, it's hard to really grasp how it's all come at them and us so quickly, and has changed completely the access that these. I don't know what to call anymore. Sickness is definitely a sickness. But the ways that they can get them these days is just really scary.
It truly is, and you can't fault the children. The one thing that teenagers crave and need and want more than anything else, or they think they need it, is the approval of their peers. Like, they want to fit in, they want to be accepted.
The affirmation.
They want to be part of the crowd. They want to be part of their peer group. And so there's a lot of pressure on children to, in becoming part of the group, to go along with whatever gets talked about and whatever is happening and whatever is trending. So they're in a very precarious situation. There's no doubt about that. I should mention too, Brian, that thankfully the federal government has now come up with a name change on and officially changed child pornography. They've replaced that with another term, and this is now employed in federal law, with child sexual abuse and exploitation material. We've been calling it CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material, for some time, because child pornography was somehow denoting that children were participating in an adult activity, and so we've been lobbying to see that change for some time.
Yeah, so I noticed that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm actually relieved that they've included the word exploitation. So even though it's a longer acronym, we're happy that it's there. So any time that you hear me talk about CSAEM, then we'll explore that some other time.
Yeah, and just so our listeners know, and then I'll let you go because we're right on the break. But look, that was great. I'm glad you got all of that out there and all in time, because I hate having to cut people or let them know that we're running out of time. But the whole point of that legislation that you just made, of course, was to sort of discount the way the legislation was worded. It almost suggested or implied that kids could consent. Actual children could consent to pornography, and then that could be an issue at court when it gets to that point. So it was really important. I'm glad you mentioned that today.
Yeah, it's like the fault was with the child because they were posing somehow, or they were soliciting this attention, whatever. And the last thing I'll mention, Brian, I said we touch on it there about the epidemic on intimate partner violence. I'm glad that government has made this step, and I'm going to be anxious to see, because I did mention on a previous call that children are not often specifically included. It's kind of a general statement that if there are children involved, then, social services, well, it's now called social supports. I'm not sure the difference, but that children will be referrals. There'll be referrals made to, the department that deals with children's issues. And I just want to see what that looks like. I know that right now, there's a dedicated task force. I'm delighted about that. I do see an absence on that task force, which I've expressed, but that's another topic. So the discussions that will be informed by these participants, I'm anxious to see what the recommendations are going to be that are now in development. And I definitely want to see specific actions and recommendations around children when they're involved in these cases, because they are a lot. I mean, when we talk about IPV, we automatically think about domestic violence and a partner being harmed by another partner, but quite often there are children involved in these scenarios. So I'm hoping that there's going to be very specific protocols when it comes to these children.
You and me both, Connie. So just one more time before we let you go. When did you say that you'll start posting the charges from the docket on the Miles for Smiles website?
Well, it's going to be very soon. There's a draft right now that we're reviewing, and it should be this month.
Okay. I'll look for an update from you. I'll look forward to that.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go to line number 2, and welcome to the program. Ward 5 councillor in the city of St. John's, Donnie Earl, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, councillor. I hope I didn't speak out of turn. I'm loath to sometimes pass on a message, but I had a couple emails saying that you might have been on a bit of a leave. Is that accurate, or...?
It was accurate, and I appreciate your honesty. So I'll just touch on that for a second.
Yeah, and I don't expect you to get into the personal stuff. So, by the way, just so you know.
No. Listen, my life is an open book. So about 2 weeks ago, first of all, I'd like to apologise to any of my constituents who haven't been able to reach me for the last couple of weeks. I had a week-long stint in the health science complex, and I thought my job was busy and stressful at times. I'd like to say a heartwarm thank you to the paramedics, the staff, the nurses, the doctors who took great care of me. Boy, let me tell you, they go above and beyond, and I would not want either one of their jobs, I can assure you of that.
Look, if you listen, and I know you do, and people who listen to the show will understand the same mantra that you've just spelled out there. The people in our healthcare system are doing the yeoman's work, women, you name it. None of this, the problems that we have, and I see a couple of other callers here want to get on to talk about healthcare and delays and problems. We can't lay any of this at their feet. We know that it's a system that really was smashed in the face over COVID, was already hurting before that, and we're still just trying to pick up the pieces. But I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well now, are you?
I'm doing much better now, thanks to the fine people at the health science. Today is my first day back to work. So first of all, I'd like to start by saying my ward is a very complex and unique and different needs and wants. We have the fine people over in Southlands who are very, very frustrated with the traffic. We're working on it hard with the city. You know, it will get better. It's just going to take some time. You know, we have Blackhead out there who are advocating long and hard to try to get a bridge put back that was replaced because of a safety issue. I have, you know, the fine people in Kilbride, you know, who just want their neighbourhood cleaned up. But to speak to Gould, I'm a Gooligan through and through. I love my community. I'm a father of 5, and I can't imagine living in a better place, a safer community, a cleaner community. No disrespect to anybody else in the city of St. John's, but I just love the Goulds, and I'm proud and honoured to be a part of a great community. Back in 1992, the city of St. John's, we amalgamated with them, to the best of my knowledge, with the direction from the provincial government. We started out back in March, I believe, of 92 with a great councillor by the name of John Dinn.
There you go.
After John Dinn left, we had Councillor Wally Collins. After Councillor Collins, we had Carl Ridgely, and I am the 4th councillor in the history of the city of St. John's for Ward 5. I can assure you that when it comes to water and sewer and infrastructure and sidewalks, every councillor that was before me and now with me is advocating long and hard to see my community grow. I'm sure that you can appreciate I have the energy and the love for my community, as so did my predecessors, to see my community go. But we need the expertise and the advice from the City of St. John's staff and the engineers to make sure that what we're doing is done properly and accurately. I understand the frustrations all too well. I live on the main road in the Gould, and I'm very fortunate enough to have city water. My mum lives a couple of thousand feet just up the road from me, and she has to have an artesian well and a septic system. So I understand it all too well. We need help from the federal government and the provincial government. We just took a bit of a hit from the provincial government. I hope they're listening, because my ward needs your help, and we can't do it without you guys. You know, the city only has so much money. You know, nobody likes to hear the word taxes raising. It's a dirty word.
You're referring? Are you referring to the recent budget where they changed the 3-year to 4-year?
Yes.
Okay.
We can't spend what we don't have.
Yeah.
And I know it's very frustrating, but at the end of the day, you know, with the great colleagues that I have, and the mayor and the deputy mayor, and with the staff, and you know, the fine people at the City of St. John's, we are working hard to make our city, not only Ward 5, you know, one of the best places in the world to live. And I think we're going to get there. Unfortunately, it's just going to take time.
Yeah, I know. And the emails I get are saying, you know, we've been told it's going to take time for 30 years. And so you said it. I mean, not everybody is going to be, you know, pleased with the service that they have, no matter where you live. But I've gotten both, I'd say, since you gave me a shout, on both sides of the ledger. I've got a couple of emails here saying it's lovely out there, don't change a thing. But people forget about the vastness of your ward, that it does go out to Blackhead and up to Petty Harbour and all those areas. So it's easy to forget sometimes that it is not, you know, Ward 2, where it's all compact and easy and straightforward. I also had a couple of questions. You know, I mean, in this day and age, we're also looking at, with housing being so much at the fore, and a lot of changes, you know, to what you can do on your property. I had one email here, just, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'll just ask for your response to it. It says, I've gone to the city, I pay taxes, and for many years, little value to me. I've gone to the city and was told, unless there is water and sewer services, then I will not get permitted to be able to do farming. If they are zoning the land as rural, then treat us as rural. Other rural communities can build on half an acre with private water and sewer. I have several acres and still denied. I know it's not a lot to go on, but can you shed any light on that?
Well, what I will say is that the gentleman or the lady who reached out to you, my cell phone number is 879-382-0520.
There you go.
That's my work cell phone. My private cell phone that I put out during the election, because I made a promise that I would always be accessible to the residents in my ward, is 709-725-8501. And any help that I can offer that particular person, or any questions or any direction that I can give, I don't have the expertise to understand right now, what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. All I can do is go back and advocate long and hard on their behalf, ask the hard questions, and see what we can do. Is there wiggle room there? There are some developments in my community, and to be honest with you, some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. So I go back to staff who've been fantastic and understanding with me, and I'll say to them, hey, I don't really understand this, and they'll explain it to me. And a lot of the times you don't always get the answer you want. As long as somebody can explain it to you as to why the answer is what it is, I find a lot of times that goes a long way. So if anybody in my ward or anywhere in the city of St. John's that needs help or direction, I'll work very hard and try to help you out. I mean, we want development. We want to see our communities grow. The city is not pro or anti-pro development. We just need to make sure that it's done properly, and so that it doesn't cause a juggernaut down the road for the next council or the next. Is a hard one to figure out, but I trust and I have faith in the staff at City Hall to guide me in the right direction.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Goulds has never been cheated as far as councillors go in this city. All of them, including yourself, and you listed off everyone from Ridgely to Collins to Gin, and it goes back years. Always been loud and vocal for the people in the Goulds. So I don't often hear complaints about the quietness coming from the councillor, just that they never get what they want or what they're always looking for. But sorry, go ahead.
One memory that stands out in my mind as a young man, when Councillor Dean was in City Hall, and he was there then with Andy Wells, and I believe him and Andy had a little bump in the road one day, and John stood up in chambers and said, well, we'll leave the city. And Andy said, good, leave. And John said, well, we will, but we're taking Babel's Big Pan with us. That's a memory from a little boy who was taught by Councillor Dean. I grew up on the beaches of Babel's Big Pan, right across from French Snaggles. A lot of people don't even realize that there was even houses on the side of the beach, but that's where I'm from, and I'm proud of it. And we will get to where we need to be. And I just want to say, it just needs to be done properly. We can't do it. We can't do it as cocked, we'll call it. And just to comment on the SHIT word.
Yeah.
In the mornings when I wake up and I come down past Tim Hortons in the Goulds, and I smell the farmers spreading their manure to grow our crops and to keep us alive, I'm not one bit embarrassed to say that I'm a Gouldigan, and I do live in farm country. And without the farmers, without that smell, we'd be in hard shape. And that's us. That's part of us.
Yeah, and you know what? On a good day, I can smell it downtown, depending on the wind blowing. Councillor. Yep.
Smell of money.
Yes, especially for the farmers. Councillor, there's lots on that vine, but look, I appreciate you getting to us right away after, hearing discussions about it. If everybody, every representative of every area that is called out or mentioned on the show just gets to us real quick and can put some clarity and context and information for people, as you said, you may not always get the answer that you wanted, but at least there's straightforward communication and an understanding of what's on the go. So I thank you for that.
And I thank you, and I nearly forgot to congratulate you on your fantastic new position. You're doing a great job, and I enjoy your show. I truly do.
Honestly, appreciate it. Appreciate all the kind words. Thanks again, Councillor Earl. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're
have
doing
a great day.
Yeah, and all the best for your health.
No, I'm on the mend. I'm here now, parked across from the farm in the Goulds by Tim Hortons, and the smell of manure is opening my. It's great.
All right, temper that with a good large black coffee. I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks again for the call.
Thank you for your time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Line number 1, and Barry, you're on the air. Barry Fordham.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome. I assume you heard the phone call with the minister. I mean, we're so limited in time, and I went back to her a couple of times, as you probably heard. What did you make of it all?
Brian, it was evident to me she wasn't going to speak about the food fishery, but I believe the only reason that she did is because of your initiative, so thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Brian, she made it very clear that her priority is with the commercial fishery, and that food fishers are more than welcome to any crumbs that are left over. It was very disheartening to hear her say that. When she talks about the importance of the weekend food fishery for the South and West Coast, I beg to differ about the weekends only. The province put forward a proposal to DFO for a 7-day-a-week fishing period, but with a 15 retention limit for the whole week. Mm-hmm. We thought this would be it, but Minister Thompson responded, no. I would think that the 15 fish weekly limit is 15 fish no matter what day they're caught. So it's all about safety. That was a big contention I thought that the food fishers were willing to make. Based on safety. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, as I, went back to her on, I mean, she was hard about the science. It was science. We have to follow it, and that's what it's there. And so when I pushed on the safety thing, I mean, is there not a flexibility? Is there any more room for, not locking somebody into a weather forecast? Certainly, the go-to was the science, no question.
Indeed so, Brian. It was very disheartening, very, very disheartening to hear. And, the fact that she isn't willing to budge an inch on this, and for people's lives, too, it makes it safer system. And that's all the people on the South and West Coast that I've heard. They're not looking for more fish. It's not about greed. It's about safety. So the provincial proposal would have made for a safer food fishery for the people of the South and West Coast. But I think that the lives of the food fishers don't matter very much to Minister Thompson, or she would have made this change.
And the provincial proposal, as you said, the minister went to bat for you. Are you? I guess that's just hanging on the vine now, is it? Do you have any positivity that there? I mean, when we heard it from the minister, I asked her if there's any flexibility, any potential change in the rules for this year. She said everything as close as you can, coming to say no.
Yes, indeed, I got that feeling too, Brian. And I think next year is not even a reality, because this is the year for change. If anything's going to happen, any kind of positive change, anything at all, it's got to be this year. Because next year it's going to be a different thing altogether. They're going to say the books are closed, and sorry, you had your chance, but you blew it. So, Minister Thompson spoke very highly about conservation and sustainability of the stock, which is very important as well. To most.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I would say that, go ahead.
No, that was it. I was just going to say, I mean, obviously, if she's, where does that leave your advocacy now? I mean, they have a survey. They had this survey done with a record response. It speaks to, it's not just a pocket of people out there who have a concern about this. It's, a lot of people interested in it. And, there was once upon a time we thought if we had a fisheries minister from this province, we might be able to get a fairer shake or a better understanding. And it's quite possible the minister does have a better understanding than, say, some of the ministers we've had from the past, whether it's Gail Shea or others from off the province, who traded away some of our resources, we know for a fact. So you can understand the skepticism and the frustration that we would have. Because, we long wished for our own fisheries minister again, thinking that it might help us, but it doesn't seem to have pushed the needle at all.
Indeed, sorry, and you're exactly right. It's not helping us. But in the past, we had fishery ministers from New Brunswick and other provinces, and they did what they want. They helped out the community. They helped out the province. But Minister Thompson is more for. I don't think that I think she's being told what to do. I really do. I can't see her. I can't see a person from this province. And politicians are different, I admit. But the person from this province, seeing the safety regulations and everything else that goes along with the dangerous parts of our oceans, should be able to see that. And again, I will say, Brian, that if a hook and line fishery would harm the cod stocks, then the moratorium should not have been lifted. Why does the minister continue to attempt to put the conservation and sustainability saddle on the food fishers' backs when we are bringing in the least amount of fish? And Brian, I'll say it once again: this 15 fish per week cap is a good thing, and it doesn't matter what day the fish are caught. So they could be caught on Saturday, Sunday, Monday of the traditional food fishing. But if you open up 7 days a week, then if you can't get up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then at least you can get up maybe Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or some other day that is safer for the food fishers of Newfoundland and Labrador.
You would think it makes eminent sense to all of us. The problem is, it doesn't seem to make sense to the ADMs and the advisors in DFO. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the advice goes to the minister, and I mean, because we know how it works, Barry. I mean, not every minister who's put into a portfolio has been a fisher or a lawyer or a doctor if you're health or a lawyer if you're the justice minister. It doesn't always work that way, which is why you have those brains in your office, right?
Yes, and I will say that I give kudos to the scientists and the biologists. They are doing valuable work. They're putting forward their findings in truthful manner. But of course, as you and I both know, Brian, that by the time the bureaucrats, the politicians, finally gets up to the minister to make the announcement on whatever it is, the facts sometimes are often so twisted that it's hard to understand what the truth really is.
It is, and that's the part, getting through the noise. And they're just going with the science over the safety. I mean, I just was a little bit taken aback by the fact that there wasn't really attention paid to the safety aspect. It just immediately reverted back to quotas, and it just doesn't feel like there's a fair balance there.
And there isn't, Brian. There isn't. Especially when food fishers in Newfoundland and Labrador are made to feel that there's just crumbs that we're welcome to.
Yep.
And it's not right, it's not fair, and it needs to change. And this is the year for it to change. And if there's a lawyer out there in your audience or anywhere at all that would like to take this case on pro bono, it will be a worthwhile case to take on, and may do very good for yourself or your career.
Yep.
So we're seeking legal aid or whatever we can do to make this a safer and fairer system. That's what it's all about, a safer and fairer system. It's not about more fish, it's not about this, that, and anything else, not about any hidden agendas. It's about a safer and fairer system. As I began this lobby over 10 years ago, safer and fairer system.
Yep, loud and clear, Barry. Let me know if you have any uptake or pick up on the on legal representation, and if you take this to a higher level. So I appreciate the call.
Thank you very much, Brian. As always, it's been a pleasure.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Oh, right to line number one. And Vic, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian, and your listening audience. Thank you for taking my call.
Always a pleasure.
You're doing an excellent job. I'll give you an A++ in communication.
I never got one in him in high school, so thank you very much.
Okay. I know a week before last I was on pertaining to the MOU. I made a few comments or suggestions. I suggest that we develop the Upper Churchill and the Gull Island project on our own, actually, in Newfoundland, and bring it down to use the maritime link to bring it to, of course, the rest of Canada, and we'd supply natural energy to all of Canada. And the reason why I said that, because I think if Quebec gives us a link through this new agreement, which I think they're negotiating now, well, Quebec then would, of course, have a sort of more control again under that natural resource, So now I thought I heard on the radio a few days ago or last week that they made a big discovery in natural gas. I think I heard $400 billion or 400 billion. What was it? I wasn't quite sure. But if that's worth $400 billion natural gas there in our waters in Newfoundland, so my suggestion is, why can't we develop that? That would give us capital to develop the Upper Churchill and the Gull Island project. Well,
that is exactly the plan, to advance those plans. And you're right about the $400 billion. It's valued at an estimate $400 billion, and this is the offshore natural gas reserves that they estimate off our coast. I mean,
$400 billion.
That's in the value, an estimated value of $400 billion. So if it were, and I mean these are wild estimates that
that's certainly. So with that, we should be able to develop a few other things including, I say, outside of other things that need to be really developed in Newfoundland. That's my only point, and I want to keep you because you're doing a good job.
No, continue. I don't have to brush off that fast, but if you had any other points to make, no, absolutely. Just so you know, it is being advanced. For years and years and years, we wondered why it wasn't.
Now, the other point now there's a review committee or the renegotiating committee, whatever they're doing now. Are the people in Labrador on that committee, the Aboriginals in Labrador, are they part of that review committee or negotiations?
So these days it depends on which committee we're talking about. The Oversight Committee, which was just named on Friday, because we have a negotiating team, of course, which it's the three that's involving Jennifer Williams, of course. From NL Hydro, but that's the negotiating team. And by all accounts, we've been told that either negotiations were starting or have started. But last on Friday, the 3-member Churchill River Oversight Committee was named. And that's just the 2 members. One is Julia Mullally, of course, and she is the former, top public, servant, clerk of the Executive Council back during the Muskrat Falls era. But who was vehemently, she talked about being shocked and angered at the evidence of project of Nalcor team secrets being.
Negotiation committee?
Pardon me?
The Aboriginals of Labrador, are they part of that negotiating committee?
Not by name. Look, whether or not they're being consulted, and we have to assume they are, because again, this is the arguably the biggest part of the negotiation. We have to have that settled. We can't just, run gung-ho and roughshod over this in some ways that people say Alberta has been doing, and trying to find a way around a duty to consult. That's how they got to this referendum question.
Well, I appreciate your time, and you clarified a few things for me.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I thank you again. You're doing a great job.
I really appreciate it. We should keep that conversation going, though, because the truth is, as we said, Lloyd Parrott, the Energy Minister, said last week that the talks are resuming, would be in a few days. I'll tell you, while I got you, Vic, my question is, who's at that table? Who's negotiating right now? With all the musings about Ottawa's potential role here, are the feds at the table? I'm wondering, are they actively engaged at this point, or just observing? Is it?
Yes, I am. Actually, I'm very concerned now because I see the federal government is offering some financial assistance. And
well, we don't.
Scary because you have a third party, and the federal government ends up. We could probably have a worse contract than we had in 1969, it's kind of scary. Now, on a professional note, I had the opportunity to work in Labrador for 2 years in 1965 and 67 on the coast and Labrador City. So I have fairly knowledge on Labrador. Mm-hmm. The other experience I had, many years ago, I met the first, electrical engineer that developed the project for Churchill Falls, and I remember he showed me. He actually had a very large home, and he had one room was quite large. I think it was 20 by 20, and he actually had the whole Churchill module, in a mini, sort of a very mini scale. Mm-hmm. And he was an electrical engineer, and actually, I think he was from Montreal originally. I didn't know him personally, but I had the pleasure of meeting him, and he showed me all what he had developed. And of course, Mr. Smallwood, I think he was the first person Mr. Smallwood probably had in, and of course, but they didn't accept the project he developed at that time. So I thought that was very interesting. That was quite a few years ago, and this gentleman was an old man at that time. I think he lived well up in his 90s, but he lived in Newfoundland and died in Newfoundland, and so I wasn't too interested in, of course, Churchill Falls at that time because I had other things in my mind.
Right. If we only knew the import,
yeah. Book on the Churchill Falls, but it's all written in French. All the development, it's quite a nice book. Pictures of Churchill Falls, etc. The only thing is, like I say, it was written in French, and of course, I had to sort of. My French wasn't good that well, but I managed to read it.
Vic, there's probably a translation out there for it these days.
Pardon?
There's probably a translation of that book out there these days, whether it's online
I think there was. I probably will. I thought about, but I still have the book, of course.
Yep.
But anyway, I thank you again for all your help. You're doing a great job.
Really appreciate the A+ and the marks that my teachers probably never would have given me, but I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Dick.
Thank you very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 4, and John, you're on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good for a Monday, absolutely.
That's great. This is the first time I've spoken with you, and I've phoned before, and usually about historical things. But now I was planning on springing a question on you, but you already know the answer.
Well, you never know. I'm prepared. Yeah, you have to be prepared for anything on this show, so far away. You never know.
Yeah, of course I'm talking about, and I had my dates wrong, by the way. RFK was shot on the just before midnight on the 5th.
That's right.
He died 26 hours later.
Actually, I think it was after midnight. I just remember that because someone, we were talking about this the other day and we were looking at the times, but I guess it depends on the time zone. But yeah, technically in Los Angeles, where it occurred at the Ambassador Hotel, it would have been just after midnight on the 5th. So yeah, it would have been early Friday morning, this past Friday.
Yeah, and he passed away, unfortunately, apparently 26 hours later.
Right.
But it's one of those what-if questions, because, I mean, you have to wonder if he had survived and had lived. I guess Richard Nixon would have went down as being the only guy who had been defeated by two brothers.
That's right. When you think, it's not funny, but yeah, no, absolutely.
But then, of course, you wouldn't have had Watergate, and we wouldn't have had an extension of the Vietnam War. I know I'm speaking American history, not Canadian, but and then whatever came after, and leading up to the bozo that was sleeping there presently, and maybe the presidential history would have been so much different. And he was such a good man. I know him, like John F. Kennedy, all had their faults, but I mean, which of us don't, right?
Exactly. And history, has a predictable way, I will say, of repeating itself, because, a lot of this, Sirhan, of course, the shooter, who is still in jail, still in prison to this day, after his sentence was commuted to life instead of the death penalty. But in any event, when you think about it, that was all, again, about the Israeli war. Or support, I should say the 6-Day War back in the 67, but the year I was born, actually. So I had to do my own catching up on history as I grew up, because, of course, I was only born that year. But in any event, that all had to go back to strife in the Middle East again. I mean, repeating itself over and over.
Isn't it like that? I don't know. Some historian said the past is not past, or history is not. It's still going on.
Yeah, true.
It just falls into each other. I mean, I'm currently reading Churchill's history of the Second World War, and it's very eye-opening, right?
It is. We think we know history, but when you start to dig back into it, various facts and different. Yeah, you wouldn't believe some of it sometimes when you start looking back through it. Some of it's just unbelievable when you look back through the coincidences, the serendipity, as you said, right? We're living history every day, not just repeating it.
I mean, and you have to wonder. Where if he had survived and had went on to get elected, what would have came after? I know Trump is down on Barack Obama for some strange reason, his medical program and one thing and another. But I mean, he was
citizenship, you name it.
I mean, he was a good, honest man, and the division with over color and everything. And Robert Kennedy was very much on civil rights and and getting out of Vietnam and one thing and another and. But I mean,
and when you consider John too, right? I mean, it was Martin Luther King was assassinated just 2 months before Kennedy was shot and killed. So, shot, of course, and then passed away the next day. But that was only 2 months before that. So what a time!
Yeah, I mean, American history is full famous people who were shot by lone nuts, right? You know, Lincoln and whatever. But I mean,
I'll never forget the Reagan. I'll never forget Reagan's the shooting of Reagan and the killing of Brady, of course, his Secretary of State that was with him. But I'll never forget that video, seeing it for the first time as Reagan was getting into his limo and that shooting. Even though, I mean, obviously he survived, but that one just stands out to me. I guess maybe because it was more my.
And you know something, Brian? My wife and I guess I'm a big Civil War buff, and my wife and I went on a tour of Civil War battle sites and things, and we actually stayed at the Capitol Hilton in Washington, and very, you know.
Yep.
Only time I ever could afford a 5-star, and I got that at a rate, to stay at a 5-star hotel. And when I went up to the concierge and said, isn't this the same place that Reagan was shot outside of? Of course, they don't want to talk about that.
No, of course not.
But I mean, I said, no, I'm pretty sure this is the place.
Washington Hilton, absolutely.
But I mean, it was. I mean, it all went back to June of 1968, when, and probably before that, like say, with Martin Luther King and everything and whatever. But I mean, you know, of course, you don't know what Robert Kennedy would have done, but I mean, you know, he planned on getting out of Vietnam and whatever. But they were into a mud hole, and they're into a mud hole now with Iraq and Iran and all those kind of things. And
and you have to wonder, you know, would RFK Jr. be in the position he is in today? Would his father have allowed him? Maybe.
And I mean, and he's a Republican.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard Kerry Kennedy the other day on talking, of course, the niece of JFK. She was on speaking about this very thing just on CNN over the weekend. Just caught a few clips of it, and how they just shake their head when they look and try to reconcile a family member and the kind of positions he's taken, whether it's been, you know, vax or anything else, as the director of, you know, of the healthcare system in the United States right now. It just boggles the mind. How would that be happening right now, you know?
Yes, and there was a program on one of the TV American channels about there always are, about the JFK assassination and the conspiracies that came afterwards, and it was the beginning of conspiracy theories.
Yep. It really did, right? It just opened up that, oh my God, it was the ultimate conspiracy theory, and still is today. You know, the grassy knoll. I mean, look, even Seinfeld has a famous episode about it, so there you go.
Have you ever been to the Dallas to see the grassy knoll?
I have never. My father has been, but I have never been there.
Most people don't realize that the car was actually going down a grade.
Right.
Because you don't see that when you see the videos.
No, you only see the depository building in the car, right?
It made the people sitting in the car more of a perfect target. If you believe that theory, then of course you got the ones from the grassy knoll and ones from the shots coming in from every direction all over the place.
Or like I said from the Seinfeld episode, the second spitter. I don't know if you ever watched the show or not, but anyway, some people will get that reference, maybe not.
How many videos, you know, have been made about books and that have been published? I mean, it's the 6th floor is a whole, you know, history, you know. I mean, everybody and your brothers came out with a theory on that. I mean, from everything, probably more than the Titanic, but it must have been JFK, right?
Well, people know that people can't get enough of it, so it only makes sense. If you've got another take on it, you're probably going to sell a lot of books or a lot of videos.
Yeah, I was thinking of writing one either, but I can't come up with a crazy theory.
Well, that's pretty. I'm telling you, you're the only one who hasn't come up with a crazy theory about something. It feels like everybody's got one, but that's the age of social media, I think. John, I got to get off to the break, but I love to chat anytime.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that, but thanks for ringing up. It was on my radar on the weekend. You know, I just saw it fly across the anniversary, and I thought, man, all that happened back then, you know, and JFK and Martin Luther King back to back within a couple of months. That must have been a wild time.
I'm 76.
Oh.
Sorry to admit it, but I mean, I was born during the Korean War, and even though I knew nothing about it.
So you have a pretty good visual and a pretty good memory of those years.
being one and all.
Well,
and,
I mean, in '69.
And I know I lived through a fascinating period from, man walking on the moon and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's we lived through a fascinating age, and I don't feel 76.
Well, that's good.
I think my wife says to me, I'm the only 76-year-old that still collects teddy bears.
You can never be too old for teddy bears. I still got my original ones in the room somewhere, and my kids use them, so that's all good. You can always hand them down.
I'm young at heart.
Oh, join the club. I love that. That's part of the positivity we're spreading here on Open Line too, as well, John. So keep the young at heart, because it's all in our heads, right?
Because, I mean, I know we got problems with the fisheries and one thing and another and whatever. But, I mean, it's sometimes when you hear that over and over, it's so depressing that you want to start watching or listening to something joyful, which brings my wife and I, we actually went out and got a VHS player.
Good old nostalgia.
And the nostalgia, and we started watching Anne of Green Gables.
Jumpins. Well,
we came across the VHSs, and we started. I mean, they're such beautiful shows.
Yep, John.
And it makes you feel.
It makes you feel better, absolutely. And look, only because I'm well over break. Let's keep that positivity going. We'll talk about other positive things other than assassinations next time. Sound good?
I won't blow the ear off you.
That's good enough. Yeah, good one. I got it. Thanks a lot, John.
Okay. Bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 3. And Diane, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
Good.
I'm just calling in to talk about a situation that we incurred in St. John's at the Health Science on Friday past, June the 5th. My husband was scheduled for prostate cancer surgery. We traveled to St. John's from Stephenville on Wednesday, June the 3rd, for his pre-op on Thursday to have all required information ready for his surgery on Friday. He was set up for 11 a.m. surgery. He was all prepared by wonderful nursing staff, intravenous in his arm, and ready to go. When the nurse came to tell us the surgery was canceled. Not only his surgery, many more surgeries, because they had no beds to put people in after their surgeries. There were people from Port-au-Basque. That's an 11-hour trip. Ours was a 9-hour trip from Stephenville. So he's supposed to be done this Friday, which means another trip across the island. And with the cost of gas, the price of gas these days, and everything else that we have to incur, it's very frustrating.
Diane, you're the second caller specifically about last Thursday and Friday. I would say you're in the exact same. It's the exact same situation. I'm sure it would have been same clinic and same situation, unless there were more, which we haven't heard of yet. And unfortunately, it takes a few days for this to filter out. Your call now, a call earlier, a few emails that I'm getting. So we need to get to the bottom of what happened last Thursday and Friday. When you think about the cost and expense, let alone the trepidation and the concern and the anxiety around these sorts of, look, you're dealing with things that you don't need anything compounding it, and let alone expenses, travel, wasted money. Who can do that these days? And it strikes me that in not too short a period of time, people are going to start wanting some kind of compensation for this, and I don't blame them, yourself included.
Exactly. So hopefully this Friday he'll be done, which is another cost for us. And it's a good thing. We have friends that we stay with in St. John's, so that cuts costs a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. This is his 4th bout of cancer, all because of doctors wouldn't listen until we got everything straightened away. Now he has a prosthesis in the roof of his mouth. He has a hole in the roof of his mouth because of a previous surgery. And, we've dealt with that, and we were put off and put off and put off regarding the medical care, and almost demanding that they do biopsies.
I mean, that's the way to catch it. And if you're having delays with surgeries and delays with this is what's causing, speaking of compounding, the more delays we have, the more cancellations we have, it only stands to reason. Time, unfortunately, is not on your side when you're dealing with these things. And the longer the longer it's left. I mean, it's one thing to be undiagnosed. It's another thing to know it's there and delays getting it treated. And you know that your time could be ticking. It's really, it's the epitome of just making insult to injury,
Yeah, for sure.
So you're going to make the trip again this week, and as you said, there are people making it from. I mean, I had a call earlier about the caller came from Marystown. The gentleman did with his wife, and I mean that's bad enough. 3.5 hours. Now you're talking Stephenville, of course, and the fact that there's nothing that you can do between here and Stephenville.
That's right.
Is another issue. You got to come all the way here, and I mean, the Cork here is about making sure that we can share all the information about parents back and forth between doctors. If and that's supposed to expedite things and make things easier to see and quicker. But that really feels like administrative bloat and things that needs to be addressed. When we're talking about staffing and beds, that's another level altogether.
Yeah, we were told that there was no beds available for after recovery. There was no anesthesiologist available.
Just on and on and on it goes. And so, were you ever given explanations about the unavailability of the anesthesiologist? Now we know that beds can be. We know the beds are an issue. If it was just that issue, then we have to find another way. I mean, there have to be accommodations. And I don't mean to lessen the importance of a bed right after surgery or after a procedure. But, we know that that's the problem. We have people occupying beds in acute care that should not be there. Whether it's our elderly loved ones who are just waiting to be moved to, another level of care, that's constantly the problem as well. So, we have beds taken up for non-urgent with urgent people waiting for them. It's just really a difficult situation. And your call is going to be followed by another email. And maybe we can get to the bottom in the short term, specifically just to this issue, Diane. I hope we can. I hope someone's listening and can shed some insight onto what happened last week on Thursday and Friday. Not that it's not happening almost every weekend.
I sent off a email to our Minister of Health, Elia Evans. Mm-hmm. I haven't got a response from her yet, but I'm hoping to.
Okay, well, her staff, we know, are listening because they're always making sure that we get accurate information. So, Diane, I'm going to try to get one more call in. I'm not sure if it's a similar vein or not, but on the off chance it is, I'm going to take it.
Okay.
Let me know.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no, listen, thank you for calling. We need to keep these conversations going. So if you get a chance, and I know you have other things on your mind, clearly, not the least of which is traveling safely over the highway, let me know how it goes this week, and hopefully this gets done sooner rather than later.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Okay, and one more before we call it a day. Let's go to Fred on line 1. Fred, you're on the air.
Hi, good day. Yes, I'm associated with the Lousport Salvation Army Men's Fellowship Group.
Yes, sir.
And we had scheduled a breakfast for Saturday, June the 13th.
Okay.
And due to unforeseen circumstances, we have to cancel.
Well, that's unfortunate. Did you have one just back in March as well? You have these regularly, don't you?
Yeah, we have them basically every quarter, yes.
Yeah, and they're called the Men's Fellowship Breakfast.
Yes, and if it's possible, I'd like to have it done like a couple of times a day and maybe a couple of times tomorrow. Or is that possible? Well,
we're only on the air now for another 2 minutes, but we take PSAs all the time, and it's out there now. And, if the newsroom still has space for it too, but this is the place for it. And look, if you want, you can remind me again tomorrow in an email and I'll mention it again.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
You're welcome. Any idea on what the unforeseen circumstances were, if you don't mind?
Well, I'd rather not have that discussion.
Okay. Fair enough. No problem.
Sir.
I feel like I'm talking to a government minister, but no problem.
Okay, sir.
All right, thanks for the information. All right, there you go. So the Men's Fellowship Breakfast, thanks again, Fred. Men's Fellowship Breakfast is canceled for the 13th, and more information to come. And I can see they got a good Facebook page that's going there, too, where you can always get updates to Salvation Army Lewisport. Men's Fellowship, and that's there. And if you're not clear and you didn't get all the information on that one phone call, we have it here. Dave's got it there. And when the show is on the air, or you can send an email and we can send you that information if that's something that you're into and you're looking at. All right, so that's the show for today. Thanks, everyone, for making it a great show on this Monday. We'll see you back here at same time, same bad place. Thanks, everyone. Drive safely, arrive alive. VOCM cares.